Hi, welcome to the Birdhouse tutorial presented by Artaggregate, a co-working space in Hamilton's East End. I'm Sean, I own the place.
And I'm John. I'm Sean's dad.
So I guess first we're going to talk about what pieces you got in your kit, and then we'll go through the assembly process, when and how you should paint or coat your birdhouse if you want it to look like this, and then assembly for the roof, and I think that's all the pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I think it's a simple, fun project to do with your dad, and let's begin. First thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to grab our materials. Everything is done in pine. The roof is done in cedar. And we're going to sand all our pieces. I'll just do a quick introduction to all the pieces. Front of the birdhouse, secondary front for the birdhouse, back of the birdhouse, two sides that are different lengths, two fronts for the small front,
That will go on that piece.
and left and right for the tops, a metal topper to protect it, and a bottom that slides in and out so you can clean your birdhouse and empty it.
All of your pieces are going to be numbered, so when we talk about each piece, we'll tell you which number corresponds with that piece. And for the front piece here, we have this little dowel that's going to be the perch for the birds. We're actually going to fasten that in there for you before we send it to you.
All right, should we start sanding?
I think we should start sanding. Included in your kit will be some sandpaper. We're just using some leftover discs that we have in the shop, but you'll have some sandpaper with you. We're also including these little baggies that will have all of your fasteners in it, different size nails, some for putting the house together, and then the rest for putting the roof on. So go ahead, take your sandpaper, take a few minutes, and just clean up these rough edges. We've done a lot of the face work for the roof and everything already, but there's going to be bits where we drilled through the holes. Just clean those bits up. If you fold your pieces over, they'll get into these holes better, so you can get these burrs off. Okay, now that we're done sanding, we're going to go through and look at each piece. The front of your birdhouse is going to have a dado in it, a hole in the front for the birds to get in and out, and the number 1 on it. The back is number 2. It's the exact same, also with a dado, but no hole.
All right. Our sides are 3 and 4. As I mentioned earlier, one is slightly longer than the other. We're going to just start nailing stuff together. In your kit, you received 2 types of nails, a silver one and a brown one. The brown one we're going to use for the roof. The silver ones we're going to use for the assembly.
We've already pre-drilled all the holes that you're going to need to actually assemble it, so the only tool you're going to need is a hammer, and we're pretty sure your dad has one.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take this piece here. We're going to use the one side to help support everything and keep it level for us. We're going to line this one up with the bottom edge, and it should also line up with the top angle. And we want this to be flush right here. So if Sean holds that for me, I'll put a couple nails in. The nice thing about the pre-drill is the nails are going to start really easy for you. We're going to bring it right down until it's flat. We're going to do that in the other 2 holes. That's
now,
one side on.
That'll stay on, so that side now will act as your support as you nail on the other side. This is where things get a little bit different.
So this one, remember, was a little bit shorter. We're going to line it up with the top angle.
So it doesn't interfere with our dado here. That's where the bottom's going to slide in.
So we just line it up with this bottom where the dado is. Again, making sure we're flush on the outside. Then we should be lining up with this top angle here.
And again, get your partner there to hold it while they nail it in place. And that's the front attached. Now you're going to flip it over, put that face on the table, grab your back piece. You want the dado to be facing into the birdhouse, again for the bottom. And we're going to start again on the long side. Line it up with the bottom and that top angle, and then again, make sure your sides are flush.
So this might be a fun place, depending on who you're helping, for you guys to switch.
I'll take those.
And I'll do the holding this time.
Start at one end. Get your nail started. Watch your dad's thumbs. We're going to flip it around and do the other side now.
Again, we're just going to double check, see the way it's already lined up with the dado and that top corner.
Couple more nails. Thank you.
Making sure we're flush again.
Yep. Again, start your nails and then hammer them right in. Good.
Excellent. Now that's the main carcass of the birdhouse completed. We're ready now to add our roof and our front, but now is the best time if you're thinking about painting your birdhouse.
If you want to paint your birdhouse, it's going to be easier to get into all these nooks and crannies and underneath the roof while none of that stuff is attached. The reason we want to paint it or use something like an outdoor varathane spray or brush on is because the pine itself is susceptible to getting damaged by water. So if you want to put this outside, you're definitely going to want to protect the pine. Cedar is what they build decks out of. So cedar's great outside. It'll last 15 years. It'll go for a while.
It's weatherproof,
Yeah.
basically, right? So if you want to take the opportunity now, go ahead and paint your project and then come back later and you can assemble the rest. We're going to go ahead and assemble now like we've already painted it or clear coated it. So in your kit, you would have received some roof shingles. They're the cedar with a little bit of a cut on it, and it has 2 nail holes. It also has a left and a right. The left side being when you're looking at the birdhouse on your left. If I take that piece, you'll see it'll line up with this hole and this hole. So what we want to do is we want to start at the very, very top, and we're going to use those brown nails that came in your kit. And we're going to line this up flush with the top edge and flush with the back of the birdhouse. That way we have an overhang on the front. Can you hold that for me, Sean?
Yep. So you're going to want to hold it. Keep some pressure on the side that they're not nailing, and then maybe somewhere in the middle. Sorry, I put the hammer out of the way for you.
Again, remember, these are the shorter nails. You also might find it easier to flip this down like that so you're nailing straight in this way. You'll also notice in each of these pieces there's a little dado. The dado is going to interlock with the one below it so the water continues to run down.
Similar to how the shingles on your roof at home would work.
So again, we're going to flush it with the back. We're going to tuck it into that little dado. We're going to carry this all the way along.
Again, making sure that you're using all of the pieces that have the corresponding left or right written on the back. And that is one side all completed. You can see how that looks there. Now we're going to flip it around and do the other side.
So again, this one has an R on it for right, and then when I line this up with the back, you see the holes are the opposite. If I were to put the holes in this side, you see they're off from where they want to be.
They would miss, yeah.
So again, we're going to start at the top, flush with the top, and flush with the back.
Other side. And then we're going to lay it it down and do the same thing that we did before. And that will be all the cedar shingles attached. And that's what it'll look like. We're going to take our little metal piece now. It's already folded, and it's going to be the cap.
You might need to just bend it out a little bit to make it fit. The cap is put on to seal the joint where the two cedar shingles join, right? If we didn't have the cap, there'd be a gap there where water could get in. So we're using this metal top to finish it off so no water can get inside.
When you're putting these nails in, you're going to want to see where you put the nails for the shingles themselves, and if the hole overlaps with the nail below it, you can just hammer it in on a bit more of an angle so it'll go around the previous nail.
Yeah. If you look at this one right here, you can see the nails just starting to show. So I'm just going to go above it a little bit. I'm going to nail that in. We're going to turn it around and do the other side also.
Great.
And one more in the front.
Sometimes nails don't cooperate if there's a knot or another nail. We'll provide some extra for you.
Bring that in all the way. Now, just as a reminder, the metal can have sharp edges. We've touched all this up with sandpaper just to make sure, but just be careful of small fingers and stuff that are not hitting the corners.
Now we're going to work on the part that goes onto the front. It gives a little bit more style to the birdhouse. Again, as previously mentioned, we're going to have this dowel already fastened in here for you with a little bit of glue.
Now there's two more pieces of cedar in your kit that are not on an angle, but do have an angle cut at the top. And that is going to be the roof for this part.
There is a left and a right for this as well. The nails will be closer to one end, and the other side will overlap on the front.
All right, so you can see where the nail hole is there, and it's going to go in here with the angle facing upwards. The easiest way to do this is we're going to take the two angles, we're going to slide them up so we meet right here. Now I'm going to pinch that one. And Sean's going to get a hammer. So really the angle here should be matching the corner here.
This one can be awkward to nail. It helps if you go off the edge of the table a little bit because the point protrudes past the top of the house there. Once you have one, it makes everything a little bit easier to hold. Again, we're going to flip it over and do the other side here. Thank you. Hold that there for me. There you go.
Again, we want to make sure that this is flush with the back of this piece. Right now that that's joined up, I'm just going to take a little bit of sandpaper and I'm just going to touch that top corner. So the top's on. I've sanded there a little bit. Now we're ready to fasten this onto the front of our birdhouse. The easiest way is to lay the birdhouse down. We're going to put this on top, line up the bottom, and most importantly,
make sure the holes are overlapping.
make sure the holes are lined up with
Or I
each
guess
other.
not overlapping. You want the hole to go straight through.
You can see that. That hole is straight through.
So again, I'll hold this, get somebody to hold it, pinch it down in place.
And I'll nail this in.
This will again be the longer silver nails. These ones up by the roof can be a little bit trickier. Just tap them in slow and try not to catch the edge of the roof with your hammer. Yeah, that's good. All right, and that's what that will look like fastened on. The last piece here is your bottom.
We have already put on a little peg for you. Your kit will come with this peg already in place. This is just going to slide right in here.
And that makes it so that in between off season, when there's not birds living in it, you can use this to pull it out, clean out the birdhouse, and then replace the bottom so it's ready for new tenants.
When you coat your birdhouse with your Ferrethane or whatever product you're using, maybe do an extra shot or two on here, because it's going to get all the dampness from the birds'
Nest and
nest
whatever.
and whatever else birds do. And we wanted to have an extra coating so it's easier to clean.
Couple of notes on your birdhouse. You want it to be roughly 5 to 20 feet off the ground, depending on what your property looks like. You want to have it facing away from prevailing winds. In Ontario, anyways, that would be like a northeasterly direction for the front of the birdhouse. You want to put it somewhere where it's not going to be easily accessible to predators. So in a tree specifically is probably not good, because then squirrels can get up to it. You also don't want to use nails to fasten this to a tree. But to a fence or the brick of your house, or to hang it from a branch, those are all good options. Yeah. Depending on what you want to do, you could either put a hole through the roof to put a rope or a bungee cord. You could get a piece of scrap wood, screw it onto the back, and then put a hole through the top here and attach it to your fence, or again, your deck, your house, whatever you want to do.
If you want, you can drill a hole in the back there and just hook it onto something, right? Preferably your fence. You can also just leave it sitting on your patio furniture if that makes you happy, if you just want it sitting out somewhere, right? Again, think of what you have in your property. If the squirrels are going to be attacking it constantly, it's not going to be very
conducive to birds.
Conducive to birds showing up, right?
Yeah.
If you have multiple birdhouses, if you've received more than one from us, or you've already got some of your property and you're adding another one to your collection, again, spread them out, right?
It's about 25 feet in between birdhouses, so that they're not competing for resources.
All right. Also in your kit, you will also get a little bag of bird seed. Feel free to throw some inside, maybe put some on the ground around the birdhouse, so it makes it welcoming for the birds. I hope you guys had a great time.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We like doing these kinds of projects, so we would love to see your projects, actually. If you've done this with your dad, take a photo of you guys working on it, or a finished project, and tag us on Facebook or Instagram. It'll be facebook.com/artaggregate, or on Instagram and Twitter, it's @artaggregate. And we look forward to talking to you again on another project. Thanks.
All right, take care.